A new guest arriving on my Friday night live stream, 3 hours in.
My name is Rod, and I like to party.
Me when my ex-wife asked why I didn't raise my glass or join in the toast for her mother-in-law's birthday.
Because I forgot. I am so sorry I'm not perfect.
And this is me finally reluctantly entering the dance floor at a birthday party after 2 platefuls from the buffet and 6 pints. Guys, welcome back to the show. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 hard, brutal truths about the fragrance game, guys. Well, I gave you a video a week back, did really well, 30,000 views about lies, the lies YouTubers tell you. Well, today, let's talk about the truth. Let's be positive. Before we do that, one thing that's definitely true, the best place to get your fragrance samples in the USA, Canada, and Puerto Rico is myfragrancesamples.com. Link in the description. Go there for your designer and niche fragrances, amazing range, and a brilliant service. Okay, so let's talk about some harsh truths, guys. Some of these are positive, some of them could be a little bit negative. We'll mix it up today. Okay, truth number 1. I wrote it down here. Fragrance collecting, this is a good one. Fragrance collecting is actually a reasonably affordable hobby. Now, a lot of people tend to say it's a very expensive hobby and it can, lead you to ruin, drive you to ruin. I can see their point. You've got to be careful with anything when you're buying stuff that it's, particularly things that are not necessities where it could get a little bit obsessive. We'll talk about that later. It can get very expensive, but relatively speaking, to be brutally frank with you, yes, the fragrance collecting thing is actually quite a nice hobby that you can get into, and it is relatively, when you're talking about collecting luxury things, a reasonably affordable hobby. You can buy cheap fragrances. You could buy a fragrance every week or every other week that's only £25 or something, and still then over the course of a year or so get up to 100 fragrances, and maybe you can even sell some of yours that you have for a while and don't like on eBay or Facebook groups. And we're often talking amounts of money that are in the tens of dollars or the low $100 or not much over that. You can spend a little bit more, but compared to other things you could be doing, like collecting designer shoes, buying watches, I'm a bit interested in wristwatch collecting, compared to if you're really into very expensive cars, designer clothes, other hobbies that can really drive you to ruin, like drugs and things, if you want to call that a hobby. There's a lot of stuff out there you could be buying where it really will cost you a lot more money than collecting fragrances. So in the grand scheme of things, if you are careful and sensible about it, this hobby can be an affordable and fun thing to do. Pace yourself, live within your means, and also do remember you can sample fragrances. So you can really enjoy the hobby and try new things if you're not desperate to collect, but you just want to enjoy many fragrances and discuss them, share them with friends on Facebook groups or Fragrantica, or there are all kinds of forums where you can do this. It's an okay hobby. It is not the worst hobby in the world. I may have given that impression in my previous video. So enjoy the hobby, folks. Next up, number 2, many fragrance collectors and fragrance YouTubers are mentally ill. I'm going to be frank with you here. This is a brutal truth. This hobby does attract, and perhaps anything where you're obsessively collecting an unnatural amount of something that most people only need 1 or 2 of, it will attract people who have issues. And I've encountered a lot of people in this community over the years, God knows, maybe I include myself in this, who have issues, okay? They're running away from something. There's a gap in their life. A lot of them, most of the people I know in this community who are hardcore into it, do not have a happy, stable, romantic relationship in their life. They are either single and lonely, or maybe married and lonely in an unhappy relationship. I've got to be completely truthful. I don't know too many. I'm sure there are exceptions, of course. I don't know many people hardcore into this who have a happy, healthy, stable relationship at home. Not that you have to have that to be mentally stable. By the way, I don't, but I have a relationship. I think I'm mentally kind of just about stable. But it really is striking that a lot of people, I think a higher than average percentage of people have depression, anxiety issues from what I talk to people, okay? I really do think, and it's not that really the mental health problems have come from the fragrance collecting, of course. The fragrance collecting is a manifestation of a sort of obsessiveness that sometimes sits alongside having problems, being very unhappy in your life, and you'll try, you find anything to escape it. Or maybe I can throw myself into the hobby of fragrances to escape my daily stress at work or with my husband or my wife, or all the things that happened in my childhood that I don't want to think about. So beware, this hobby will attract a fair few people with serious mental health problems, and then can also become, it can feed into that too, because it can become an obsession where you will buy far too many fragrances that you don't need, in desperate to get that next hit, that next endorphin hit or whatever of the fragrance arriving, like a drug, like an addiction. It's probably maybe less horrible than alcoholism or drug addiction, but it can be it not only can be a manifestation of your mental illness, but it perhaps exacerbate it and make it even harder to get on with the important things in life, like taking exercise, spending time with maybe hopefully friends and family, and all the healthy things that we should be doing. So watch out, guys, with this hobby. It's a brutal truth I needed to give to you. Number 3, good one here, positive note. Women do love a man to smell good. I said that it's not going to get you laid. It's not going to make a donkey into a racehorse. Very true. But the good news is women do care about the way men smell. And they really do, generally. Not all of them, but most of them really do notice and care about the way a man smells. First of all, you have to smell clean. But I believe it is a scientific fact that women actually have a sense of smell that is better than that of a man. I believe that is scientifically proven. Now, apparently nowadays you can decide to be a man or a woman, so I guess immediately your sense of smell would improve. But let's leave that matter aside. No, I'm not getting into that. But generally speaking, women have a better sense of smell than men, so you may not notice the way the woman smells that much unless you're lucky enough to get really close. They are a bit more likely actually to notice how you smell. First of all, they just don't want you to smell bad or dirty or have bad breath or anything, but you may think your fragrance isn't projecting that much and it's not strong enough. Very likely they will be noticing it. Women can be a bit shy in the UK, so they may not pay you a compliment, but rest assured, if you are hanging out with a significant lady in your life, whether it be a date or just somebody in the office that you've got the hots for, or maybe even your wife, they'll notice when you smell good. And so it is a really, really good thing to have a nice spray on it'll probably get you some appreciation. Women like it when we smell good. It's not all bad, guys. It's not all bad news, like I said in my last video. Speaking of which, let's talk about some actual fragrances. So let's get one that I got a compliment from somebody the other day, actually. Jimmy Choo Man Ice. Smelled really good. I sprayed tons of it. Fantastic fragrance. Fresh lemonade-like fragrance. So that one I did get a compliment from somebody the other day that it smells really nice, that fragrance. Okay. Let's talk about reasonably affordable. The hobby, this ties in again. Very affordable fragrance. Okay. Jimmy Choo Man Ice. You can get this for 30, 40, 50 pounds. Superb. You don't have to spend hundreds of pounds. If you do want to spend a bit more money, here's a great recommendation not everyone talks about. Creed Himalaya. Don't try and smell like everyone else. Creed Himalaya, a fantastic fragrance from the French house from Paris, and this one has a fantastic combination of bergamot, citrus accords, and a kind of herbalness, and this metallic, kind of silvery metallic thing, kind of maybe Creed's answer to things like Platinum Egoist from the mid-90s from Chanel. Superb fragrance, so fly under the radar with that one, less obvious choice, really nice one. Another great fragrance, again, I'm sure, I haven't tested this out with any ladies, I don't know many of them, let's be honest. Eau Sauvage Cologne, Dior, fantastic sister to the original Eau Sauvage. A more citrusy version of the original citrus aromatic fragrance, which is a strange thing to say. This smells amazing. Do please give it a try, or maybe blind buy. I don't know because I haven't tested it. I reckon ladies would love that. So it is important to smell good for the ladies. Next up, cheap fragrances can smell just as good as expensive ones. Yeah, this is totally true. You can buy all kinds of cheap stuff that will smell fantastic. People just like a nice smell. Most fragrances that you're going to buy are going to smell really nice. The idea that something smells expensive or cheap is really overstated in the fragrance community because people are very geeky and anal about all this kind of thing. So just a pleasant cheapie can be just as great, and maybe some of those are even more easy to like than expensive niche fragrances where they go a little bit overboard and put more polarizing notes. So please remember, cheap fragrances can give you just as much enjoyment as the expensive one. I get just as much fun out of appreciating. I wouldn't wear this on a date really. Lapidus Pour Homme, about, under £20, as I do some of my Creed fragrances. Crazy, isn't it? If you want to spend a little bit more money, why not try Gravitas Essentia? Norton and Wilson's latest release, the fantastic follow-up to Gravitas. This one is getting rave reviews. We've taken Gravitas, the classic Fougere fragrance, and we've added in mint, artemisia, and bay leaf. This thing is my favourite from our line at the moment. Absolutely stunning. Link in the description to buy that one in the USA, Canada, and Puerto Rico. Number 5, finally, a fragrance is one of the easiest things to get right in your life. Things that are hard to get right in your life. Well, maybe the way you dress, finding a dress code that works for you in different situations in your life, at work, in romantic situation. Finding a style that works for you. I don't know what age you are watching this. Don't know what country you live in. Don't know what your skin tone is. I don't know how you're built. That can be a hard thing to get right and find something that you feel comfortable with. You've got to work. That's very important. More important than your fragrance, probably to other people, how they perceive you. Okay, getting in great shape is one of the most important things to make yourself attractive and feel happy and confident. That's incredibly hard. If most of us men over 30 or whatever, we probably put on a few pounds, weigh a bit more than we should do in this Western society. So much delicious, cheap food. Very hard to get in great shape. Okay, so many other things to be confident and happy and come across that way. Very important in how you are perceived by other people. But it is piss easy, excuse my French, to pick a nice fragrance. So don't worry about this. Don't spend too much time stressing about it. This is really easy to get right, but enjoy the hobby. It's not a bad hobby at all, actually. Great recommendation. Lorenzo Villarese Uomo. Fantastic citrus aromatic with spices. A Mediterranean chic about this one. 1993 release. As good as anything from Acqua di Parma, but less talked about. I'm going to leave it there. What did you think about my brutal truths about fragrances? If you enjoyed this, and if you're new to the channel, or even if you're not, please subscribe, because you never know. The next video might be even better than this one. I would love to see you there. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll leave it there. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. And even if life may stink sometimes, at least we can always smell good. Bye-bye.